Let's pre-plan it.
Go.
Okay, just go. Here we are, Denver, Colorado, March 6th.
Westminster Pacific.
Yeah. We're in the suburb. Post East Denver. It's Monday. And even though you can't detect Dave in our volumetric capture system, he is in the same room.
There he is.
Okay, this one's for the archives. Master plan, Gathern, the native blockchain media.
This is it.
Okay, carry on. So Gathern. Oh, Dave had something?
No, that's just my body.
It's just a body. We're fine. Just keep going.
Okay.
This is for Tony.
You can also mute at any time if you'd like.
It's fine.
Ah.
And then someone else can take the torch and unmute.
Oh,
Yeah.
dear.
So graphics have appeared. Here's what, can you go pan up a little? Thank you. So this is the Gathern pattern. Simply put, it takes in media, a human presence, which is what we're calling a band, probably 2 or more people, but maybe it's just a human presence. And then you mix those things in a sandbox, which we call studios, potentially, and it outputs the new media. It's on chain. It links back to the previous media, and it's signed by people. It's magical. Now, below is how, well, this is going to make sense in a bit. Let me talk about how we're launching. So we're using the Gathern new media pattern to sort of that mixed with a little friendly, cozy experience and game. We're going to cozy people and get them comfortable with this. So Gathern, the pattern, is actually going to first be introducing Gathern the product.
You're on
The Gathern product takes media that you find on the internet, whatever strikes your fancy. You just watch a really cool video and you want to share it with people that you kind of think you know online, but maybe you don't really. These are people in your Discord and your Twitter spheres, and you share that media in the form of a Gathern, and then that creates an event that then summons a space, and both of you plus maybe other people in your community that are interested in the thing show up and talk about it, and then you produce through that system you get prompted to sort of recap or take your biggest insight from that meeting, and you imprint that onto the initial media. And now you've had a gathering. And so that's the very simplest pattern, but we're going to expand this. So once we have actual people using this thing, now that place where you created that media, that with the dialoguing or whatever, now all of a sudden you can do all sorts of things in there. You can play games, make apps, design worlds. It's more than just talking about it, it's working with it. And outside of this container that we call studios comes out new and fancier versions of the media that can be reused in a whole bunch of different ways. And now you have this ecosystem where not just us, but other people are making these apps and experiences and changing the media in new ways. Which brings us to the idea of labels. So labels is the identification or the stamp of a specific process. So it allows people like us to say we're creating experiences that focus on being cozy and coming up with like fun and connecting data and information, but other people can be more in the nitty-gritty and make sure that information that comes out of this process is formatted in a very specific way or took a lot of special attention to the previous media, and that creates the different labels. I don't know. I think I've been talking for a while.
Oh, that's good. That's perfect. That's perfect, yeah.
Covers most of it.
Dude, you really did. You covered
Basically have labels, studios,
Able Studios,
and
producers.
oh,
producers.
producers,
Yeah.
and so producers are
Are-
people that might
Okay.
want to make, maybe they're on their own and they want to make these types of experiences, but maybe they don't have a label to work under. So if someone was like, hey, I really like what you guys do in relational and your label, can I make an experience for you guys or for you all to use within your label? And we can like guide that and make brand new experiences like that, or productions like that. The other thing is the Gathern DAO, or it's like a Gathern Foundation. And this is the foundation that represents proliferating the Gathern media. And so that's essentially what the Gathern product is going to metamorphosize into over time. So it starts off with Gathern the product, which contains the very basic patterns. And then as Gathern gets more and more popular, and we separate the production presence from the pattern presence, the pattern is going to become its own DAO that proliferates this sort of media. It's on chain and references the previous media and the people that made it. And the way that we can keep the Gathern Foundation or the Gathern DAO successful and going on in perpetuity is as people use it. So as for example, a label were to use it and use the stamps to signify that a piece of media, by signing a piece of media and saying it's been made through the Gathern pattern to create a Gathern, that person potentially eats up like a quota of free stamps or signatures that they get. And to get more signatures beyond that, they have to pay into the Gathern Foundation, probably based on usage in some way. And then the Gathern Foundation essentially builds up a treasury where it can develop things to help Gathern media across different mediums. So it's like, can you create an indexer or a way to discover different types of Gatherns, or sharing it, or just improving the protocol in general, or paying towards grants to providing like a label to produce free Gatherns. That's it.
Yeah.
I had one thing with the media and the camcorder kind of thing.
Go off.
Say
Wait, give yours, give them the mic.
okay, muting.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about was the idea of Gathern media effectively being a dialogical media, meaning that people are together producing some output, be it text, video, audio, and then that's encoded on chain or however we do this. The studios act as a sort of like recording machine in the sense, like a camcorder kind of deal. And then Gathern as like a material that you're recording to that has dialogical properties, it being a sort of brand name. What else was there in there? Yeah, I guess the nature of Gathern as a media is that if you use Gathern media to produce your like dialogical works, it has a tendency to gather people together. This is what one of the tendencies of the media is. So it works based on events. Those events pull people in together. That outputs media. Those medias are interesting and can pull people together again. So it is innate to the sort of basic properties of the media. That's all.
Also that.
Oh, also, the media itself can be the source as media for other gatherings. The output of gatherings can be the seed for another gathering as well. So we get that nice chaining going on. Also things I just want to capture in the time capsule is that filling into the dimensions where we don't know how far the breadth can go, which is exciting stuff, is like how many niches can these labels start to fill in weird ways we don't predict? What roles fall into there we don't predict? What type of media that we can't predict can be expressed in this too? that stuff I'm filling into as places where emergent patterns we can't predict, but we can create a great ecology and environment for, and then we can learn from and kind of feedback into the system. Yeah.
We haven't figured out how the porn industry will use Gathern yet, but if we can't figure it out, we're not sure if it's a good sign for the longevity of the technology.
Yeah.
We all switched seats now.
What? Bing.
I was gonna say something about McBain, but instead I'll say inspired by everyone's motivation to try to do something cool. You all.
Us. Shoulders. Can we talk about Tony's tent?
Yeah, you're talking about constant.
Okay, good. Someone talk about it.
Be downstairs.
I don't claim ownership over the tent.
Steward.
Talk about our next steps. The next steps are make a Discord bot and have a /gather command that accepts a link, and then it's going to make an event that people can sign up for throughout the week. And then that event happens, and then there's a closing command as well, like /Craig or something, that invites the group to make one small last reflection that is then stamped into this Gathern media piece. And they get a link back.
Yeah, okay, so we talked about going after grants in the Web3 ecosystem, like Nouns DAO and Farcaster, so that we're building modular composable bits and pieces for people who actually have problems that we can solve with Gather, which feels like a good way to get out into the world initially.